Have you ever noticed that some musicians seem to improve faster or just play at a higher level, even though they don't seem to practice that much more than anyone else? It's easy to assume that they're just more talented, and sure, maybe this could be part of it, but what if it's because they're doing something very different in the practice room? Research suggests that top performers do practice differently. So in this video, I'll share with you the 2 key practice habits that expert performers use to get better results in less time. Let's start with a 2001 study of basketball players. 2 researchers from the City University of New York recruited 28 varsity basketball players to see if they could identify any differences between the practice habits of the best free throw shooters, who were shooting 70% or higher that season, and the worst free throw shooters, who were shooting 55% or lower. After observing their practice and asking a few questions, the researchers noticed a few key differences in how they approached each practice repetition. But there were 2 differences in particular that stood out to me. The first difference was that the best free throw shooters generally had more specific goals about what they planned to do before each practice free throw attempt. They had goals like, I'm going to make 10 out of 10 shots, or I'm going to bend my knees, or I'm going to keep my eyes on the rim of the basket. The worst free throw shooters had more general goals. They would say things like, I'm going to make baskets, or I'm going to try harder to practice my shooting form, or I'm going to concentrate more. And saying things like, I'm going to keep my eyes on the rim of the basket and I'm going to concentrate more are 2 very different levels of specificity. The second difference had to do with how the players responded to missed shots. When the best free throw shooters missed, they were pretty good about linking each miss to specific technical problems. Something like, I didn't bend my knees, or I didn't follow through. And knowing exactly why you missed a shot, or at least having a specific theory about why you missed, makes it a lot easier to come up with a more specific goal for the next practice attempt. This can also help to build up your confidence, because it gives you the sense that your performance can be improved if you just make a few adjustments here and there. The worst performers, on the other hand, rarely connected their misses to any specific aspects of their shooting technique. They were more likely to say that they missed because they were out of rhythm, and their solutions for making the next shot were pretty vague also. Things like, I'm going to use good form, or I'm going to concentrate. And that, of course, means that they were just more likely to keep making the same technical mistakes that led to the miss in the first place. So that probably all makes pretty good sense, but is it possible that the reason why the worst performers didn't focus on specific technical strategies is because they didn't know as much about free throw shooting technique? Like maybe the best performers focused on technique and strategy more often because they just knew a lot more about how to shoot a basketball with proper form. That is an excellent point, and the researchers wondered that as well. So they specifically controlled for this by testing for the players' knowledge of basketball free throw shooting technique. And as it turns out, there was no significant difference in knowledge between the best and worst free throw shooters. In other words, it seems that both the top performers and the worst performers had pretty much the same level of knowledge to draw from. It's just that very few of the worst performers actually used this knowledge. On the other hand, the best performers were much more likely to use their knowledge of free throw shooting to think, plan, and direct their practice time more productively. So how do we put all of this into action? Well, when you find yourself working on a tricky passage today, try using more specific goals for each practice attempt. Take a moment to remind yourself what your goal for the passage is, give it a try, and then after playing it, take a moment to reflect on what just happened, and if you fell short of your goal, why that might have been. Come up with a new goal with that adjustment in mind and test it out and see if it helps you get closer to your goal. This process might feel a little slower and tedious at first, but see if adding these 2 key details to your practice and spending more time in detective mode not only changes how much of your work sticks from day to day, but how practicing feels as well. If you'd like more detailed step-by-step guidance on how to practice more efficiently and effectively, I put together a free 7-day email course that I've linked in the description below. You'll try out 5 essential practice strategies that will not only help you get more out of your daily practice, but also help you play more confidently on stage and sound more like yourself when it matters most.